Hello and welcome to the Video Game Flashback Podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Video Game Flashback is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. I really hope you enjoyed the previous episode, Mega Man 3, and if you haven't gotten to it yet, please do. I put a lot of work and enjoyment and heart and soul into that one. Really love doing that. Well, we have another treat once again today. Cowabunga, dudes. That's right. A classic from our childhood. Most of us that were young enough to either be childhood or teens or whatever, young teens, maybe even early childhood for some of you listening. Oh, man, it was, this game will bring back a lot of fun memories for a lot of people. Maybe you haven't played it in a while. Maybe you still play it off and on nowadays. But one of the greatest cartoon shows of all time eventually became a great arcade game in 1989. And then a year later, approximately a year and change later, it was ported to the NES, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES. What a treat indeed. This one absolutely was, this one, there's a story behind it as well, at least kind of, sort of. I mean, it was definitely a cold time of year when we were able to acquire this one, but what an exciting time indeed. I remember I just jumping out of oh my God, really? Yes, this is so cool, and my brother was as excited as I was. So, January of 91. Like I suspected. So we're kind of, again, this is like a second, depending on how long it takes me to do this, either early February or later, half of January release for this one. Apologize because I'm starting it right now. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be done with it. But yes, just absolutely enjoyable. Some people called it a letdown going from the arcade to the NES, ported to the NES. I don't think so. Obviously, the graphics and the sound effects are going to be less. Like it's not going to be as colorful and such. It was basically, back then, at that time, the machine of an arcade game was kind of like a Sega Genesis. Like, the sound was pretty much exactly like a Sega Genesis. The graphics very similar. So, of course, from a Sega Genesis to an NES, it's not going to be the same. But I think they did a hell of a job, to be quite fair. So, let's get to some of the details. In the arcade version, there was, of course, the... Well, there were 5 levels. Obviously, you want to move things a little quicker in the arcade. Unfortunately, it could absolutely be a coin muncher. We are not going to review the arcade version today, because thankfully, I do have the arcade version. I did mention this in the last episode on the Xbox 360. It's ported on the Xbox 360, and I believe in a couple of other places, even on the Wii and all of that. And yes, I paid for them, so yeah. And I do have a downloaded copy on the... I keep forgetting what the heck that thing is called. Super Console X Pro. Yes, so it is what it is there. It's like MAME or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to, a lot of people aren't going to be able to go buy a 34-year-old cabinet anyway. So it's kind of hard. So you'd still like to be able to play the game and talk good about it. It's not like I'm going to complain about it. So yes, I do have those. So we will be doing that review on a later date, the actual arcade game. It'll be called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade. This one is called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game NES, or just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 NES. However I word it is up to where we go with that. My thought process at the end. This one did have 2 extra levels. So in the arcade, there was a fire. We got to help April out, of course. That's the apartment building, which is, again, very similar to the movie around that time. In a sense, that's not how the movie started or anything, but it did happen. Like, April's apartment was started on fire by those idiots. Of course, that was unintentional in the movie. In this one, it feels like it was intentional in the actual arcade and the NES version. So this is brought, and you got the same music. Obviously, it's not the same quality, but it's still really good, as far as I'm concerned. And then come on, after that shredder creep, you go onto the streets. That's just kind of like, da-da-da, it really sounds like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles there. Of course, the first boss is Rocksteady. The second boss is Bebop. You're kind of on the sidewalk and all of that. And for some reason, it's still called... That's weird. It's still called after that shredder creep. So that's kind of weird. So they're kind of joining some of these together. I don't know why they did that. That doesn't make sense. But so they're Yeah, so there's basically, when you look at it properly, there's like 7 levels in the arcade, but not, I guess you could say 9 different levels with different bosses and such in the Nintendo version, the NES version. So, of course, the Shredder, then you go into the sewers and you fight Baxter Stockman in his machine as he's a human. In the arcade version, you don't see Stockton again. You fight Bebop and Rocksteady together right after you go into that the parking garage area. You fight Bebop and Rocksteady together in the arcade version. In the NES version, you go to this. There's some. I guess there is an episode in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where I believe it's Shredder and Krang, of course, with their Dimension X technology, where it's like a weather manipulator item turns New York City into like winter, basically. When it's not winter, it's supposed to be like really warm or whatever. And they're like, what the heck's going on? It doesn't make any sense. It gets really weird. I think at first they make it too hot and then they make it cold. So just to kind of screw around with the weather manipulator and some storms and stuff. It's a cool episode from what I remember correctly. But in the NES version, yes. So you melt the snow and rebuild New York City. I don't know about rebuilding the whole city. I don't think that's really anything that happens. It's just written down there for some reason. And you fight Tora, who is like a polar bear character. I do believe he is in a single episode in one of the later episodes in the 90s. Like the second group that was Saturday mornings with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But then the parking garage, instead of Bebop and Rocksteady, like a dual boss fight, it is Baxter Stockman as a fly, like he was in the cartoon. So I guess getting blown up in that machine turned Baxter Stockman into a fly. So not really, but it did kind of happen with mutagen later on, where a fly kind of touched the mutagen at the same time Baxter did in the cartoon. Baxter Stockman, of course, was a scientist, a mad scientist or whatever, Shredder recruited in the early episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So then you get to the Secret Factory. That is also in the arcade version. You're just kind of moving quickly, I guess, through it. That's kind of like, let's go to the Secret Factory. That's when you're out on the highway. There is no boss. You just beat up on a bunch of foot soldiers. Once you get to the gigantic tires and all that, that's like the end. And then you move on. Then you say, come on, let's bust this joint. That is the actual factory. And you fight one of the most obnoxious, hardest bosses in the game called the Granitor, who is basically a rock soldier from Dimension X. I mean, what else is he? And then the extra level, the second extra level, which is brought to the NES, is one a lot of people despise beyond human belief. It is basically like it's a dojo with a, this is still in Japan, in New York, though, of course, because you can see the skyline in the background. Early 90s, late 80s look, of course. But yes, you can see the skyline of New York with, of course, the ocean or whatever in the background, as it is wont to do with the Statue of Liberty, all that cute stuff. So obviously you're still in New York. Yes, I'm repeating myself. It's a dojo. It has that ancient Japanese look. Then it says, let's defeat the enemy's ninja magic. So there's all kinds of ninja magic, basically, in this level where, like, statues come to life, paintings come to life, and you have to fight them, and they're hard as hell, and they're annoying. Also, you have, like, Krang's technology, going up against you, like robot-type characters. And then, of course, you have to fight a Shogun, which is like a ghost demonic thing, where his head comes off, and you have to fight that. We'll talk about him later. He's hard and annoying. There's all kinds of strategies, though. And then we got to find the Technodrome, which is one of the silliest titles of all time, because you've already found the Technodrome, and you're in the Technodrome. So I don't know why the hell they call it that. It's funny because it's kind of like taking, it's like taking away from, it's kind of like going off of Turtles 1, which I'll review someday. I'm afraid to do it, but one of these days I'm going to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the original game on the NES, where you do have to find the Technodrome. You have to go underground and into the, just kind of deeper into these caverns underground and such, where eventually you either lead to an empty room or to the Technodrome itself. It's hard, it's tedious, it's slow. We'll talk about it when we do that one. But that's really hard. But yes, otherwise you're in the Technodrome right away. You already found it, just like in the cartoon and all that. The setting, of course, is the Technodrome, and there are 3 bosses as you get to the end. General Trag, who is the general of the Rock Soldier Army from Dimension X. Krang, of course, is from Dimension X and all that. He's, got his body already, and he's hard. He takes forever to beat. And then Shredhead himself, Shredder, who is the villain in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. Not as hard as some people tell you he is. There's a strategy to beating him, and I'll get to that when we get to it. I'm actually surprised. Video Games 101, as great as he is at games, he can beat games without dying practically. He's just absolutely crazy good at games. But for some reason, Shredder, it's like, it was weird. I'm like, huh, he didn't know this strategy that I know, that I just kind of came up with? Weird, which maybe many of you also have done. But yeah, so it's obviously the soundtrack in this game is absolutely outstanding, to say the least. And nobody can deny that. Soundtrack is great. The graphics are really good. And of course, it is made by Konami. So now we'll get to those details really quick. Probably should have went to that first, but oh well. It doesn't really matter. It originally came out in Japan December 7th, 1990, but they didn't waste any time. North America, December 14th, 1990. So the timeline is correct in my head when I was thinking back. Because I remember getting it on a cold, cold January day. We were really excited. And the story here is me and my brother went to an eye doctor around that same time to get glasses, right? We were finally going to get, we were going to get glasses for the first time in our life. And so this is all kind of together. And it was, because I had a reputation or a habit of sitting really close to the TV, and it turned out it's because I couldn't see real good, I just couldn't. And then you get the glasses, and it's like, see, I'm backing up right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see everything. And Andy was so excited, because that's my older brother. He got his glasses first. Mine had to wait. They were on delay. I remember being kind of pissed off at the time, like, dang it. And he was like, awesome, I can see everything. This is so cool. He was so excited, and he's playing Turtles, because we were excited about the game at the time, too. And I was frustrated. I had to wait an extra day or two. And then we were going to go get the glasses. We had to wait for the bus. Obviously, I was a fifth grader at the time. Bus. Me and my mom and my brother were going to go downtown to get my glasses. Because pretty much everything my parents did back in the day was downtown, because that's where they worked, hair salon. And my mom finally was like, it's too cold and we can't wait for the bus anymore. And we had to go back in and had to wait another day or two. It was depressing beyond belief. But then when I got my glasses on and I could see, it was really exciting. Unfortunately, some students made fun of me at school, because this was during Christmas break, if I remember correctly. This might have been a Christmas present, but I don't really have memories of playing it at Christmas. It's more January of that year. Cold, cold day, just like it is as I'm recording this segment right now. Very cold day, hovering in the zeros around there. Not below zero, but slightly above. And I remember being pissed off, like, now I can't enjoy the eyesight my brother has playing the game, So that was fun. I remember, again, also both of us were extremely frustrated because we just couldn't beat the damn thing. It was hard. It was frustrating. And we got the NES satellite or something, and it gave us like auto, whatever. We could have the auto attack, and it's like, we still can't even beat this. This is so stupid. But little did we know that, well, you have to be more strategic in your fighting. You don't just hack away in this game. This one or the arcade. Though the arcade, I think you get away with it a little better. But in the NES version, you have where you can press the two buttons, A and B, simultaneously, and you do a swing attack, which kills foot soldiers in one hit. You're leaving yourself vulnerable if you're fighting a boss, unfortunately, because bosses are a lot tougher than foot soldiers. But you do almost like a baseball swing, or even beyond that, which kills them in one hit. That's extremely effective. But also jump kicks, especially against bosses, like all of them in the game, are incredibly effective against the bosses in this game. The jump kicks. You kind of jump, time your kick, and you can be more strategic. You're less likely to take a blow, get hit from the boss. So do not take seriously what I just said in the wrong way. Yeah, no. European Union finally got the game on November 14th, 91, so they had to wait a really long time, not just me for like a day or two to get my glasses to see a little better around that time. In hindsight, I wish I never had to wear glasses. It sucks, but I did. I had to wear glasses, so I didn't realize my eyesight wasn't so spectacular. I don't know if it was video games or like a natural cause, but my brother's eyesight was significantly worse, and they were like, do you think you need them? And I'm like, I guess. Like, they were very about it, but I felt like I did need them. Nowadays, I think my eyesight got worse than my brother's, but other things may have led to that, just being stupid, maybe. So there's that. They definitely adjusted over the years, though. It got worse and worse, just kind of like other people. So I don't know. I don't like wearing glasses now. I wish I didn't have to, but that's reality, unfortunately. So, yes, this game is an absolute treat. I hope all of you enjoy this game as much as I did. Of course, like now I talked about all the different scenes. One other thing I want to mention, and I will mention this again, so forgive me if it's a year or 2 years from now, it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but maybe I'll word it differently. The arcade game and this one, but especially the arcade game, because you don't have the shoe gun nonsense and the weather manipulator device, just like in the like in a later episode in Turtles. I believe it might have been by again, like I was saying, into the 90s when Turtles went to Saturday mornings instead of weekday afternoons. And I will go to my grave saying the weekday afternoon episodes were better. Oh, they absolutely were. Even though the Saturday mornings were fun and everything, but they weren't as good. They just weren't. They got quote-unquote creative with characters, but it wasn't as good, man. It just wasn't. Now to the point. The very first season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in 1987 was only 5 episodes. When you watch all 5 of those episodes and then you play the arcade game, put 2 and 2 together, including the music. Remember how it's like Shredder, it's like, okay, where did this song come from? It sounds so familiar. Like imagine you've watched all the Turtles episodes in the past and you're wondering, where did that music come from? It sounds so familiar, like Shredder and Krang. The first 5 episodes is basically the arcade game. Yeah, everything. Almost everything. Including, again, every time Krang is there, there's that song, that da-da-da-da, you know. You see Shredder, it's da-da, you know, very dramatic, and it's the exact same song. So, and also the fact that at the end of the Timberwolves, the Turtles went into the Technodrome. They got all the way to the Technodrome, had the battle with Krang and Shredder, and pushed them through the portal into Dimension X. They got sucked in. Like Donatello basically reversed the portal. And that's kind of how the battle ended. They got sucked into Dimension X, and they figured, ooh, are we good to go? I mean, we're done. We won. It's over. And that's kind of how this game ends. Like, it's over, but let's not be too comfortable. I got a feeling he's coming back. And that's kind of how it ended for Season 1. Pretty cool. So, spoiler alert. Yes, that's pretty much how Episode 5 ends with Turtles. Almost exactly like the arcade game and this one in a lot of ways. It's almost exactly the same, how Baxter becomes a fly and everything as well. So it's kind of wild and crazy, and but at the same time pretty cool how it all kind of ties together. So yes, it's not 100%, but especially the 5th episode is like the arcade game, and of course all the music, which involves Shredder and Krang. Unfortunately, that music vanishes. You don't hear those songs anymore. There's just different songs that are brought into the cartoons as you go forward. So, yes, if you've been living in a cave or you didn't really pay attention or whatever, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is based off a cartoon. But I will also go to my grave saying this. The original version of Turtles is the best. Yes, I am never going to say anything else, ever. 2003, they're okay. Anything after that is unwatchable. But to the 2003 group, which is already 20 years ago, and yet 13 years newer than like this time, around 90, when you could argue Turtles were in their prime. You could argue that. Right? Like 87 to 90 is when I'd say the Turtles were in their prime. God, it's the good old days, man. They were in their absolute prime. And what am I trying to get to here? But, yeah, I mean, that's when the shows were the absolute best as far as I'm concerned. Also in 1990, that's when the movie came out, of course. That's what a lot of reasons why they're in their prime, the heap of their popularity. The movie was a hit, an absolute hit, other than it was maybe a little too dark and violent. And then things got a little sillier in Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. And then Turtles 3 was like no Shredder, no nothing, and it got stupid. It was like Turtles in Time, but Turtles in Time being dumb. At the end of the day. Still, I'd take those movies any day over anything they make nowadays and some CGI, though. So I'll leave it at that. Even the cheap, crappy, like way, way dialed down version of that Turtles 3 was compared to the first two movies. So that's kind of my opinions about that. Other than the game, again, the gameplay is, it's a side-scroll beat-em-up style, which we all love very much in the arcades, and it translated very well to the NES as far as I'm concerned. Again, the moves are slightly different, I would say. There's more buttons to push in the arcade, Whereas in this one, again, you can be more precise though with that powerful hit, the whirlwind attack, kind of almost like Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and also future games beyond that. Some other fun thing is there was definitely a coupon for a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut inside that expired at the end of 1991. I don't think we ever used the darn thing. It's just a tiny little pizza, but still, it's nice. So there was definitely a lot of ads for Pizza Hut in the game, even though in the movie we always kind of laughed at who delivered the pizza to Michelangelo in the first Turtles. Domino's. It was the guy with Domino's. So that's kind of funny how that all turned out. The guy that would say 122 and an 8, whatever that meant, but that ended up being that sewer, vent basically where he put the pizza down through to Michelangelo. But it was Domino's. So it's kind of funny how in the movie it was Domino's, at least just for that little instance. But in the game, Pizza Hut was advertised off and on several times, quite honestly. There were like ads on the walls in the, in the apartment and in other areas as well. And of course, pizza is what replenishes your energy. And it's wonderful. So you just touch a little slice of pizza that might be floating around close to a boss or whatever. And then it refills your energy completely. As for the Turtles themselves, of course, you have, Leonardo. He's the leader and everything. His swords have the second best range, but believe it or not, there is a difference with the Turtles, not just the range and such, like in the arcade and in this one. You don't feel it as much in this game with the range, but for whatever it is, there is a quickness difference with these guys. Leonardo has the second best range, but he's the second slowest. So that's kind of why I had a hard time beating the game with Leonardo after being used to Raphael in the early days. Donatello has the best range, but he's the slowest. A lot of people still love Donatello and see him as the absolute best turtle, especially in the original NES game. He's by far the best turtle, even though he's slower. But I mean, the range is just ridiculous compared to Raphael's little twigs he uses. Like it's insulting the weapon of the Sai, so to speak. It's a joke. So yes, Leonardo uses katanas, 2 of them. Like I said, second longest range, but second slowest. Donatello uses the bow, which is the slowest, but has the best range. Michelangelo uses some people say actually Michelangelo has better range. So I get confused between the two, but I believe Michelangelo he's the turtle I never use for some reason. I'm not a big Michelangelo fan, so you might differ with me in a million times. A lot of people loved him. I'm just not a big Michelangelo. I mean, in the cartoon, he's great, but in the games, I've never been a big fan. He's usually the turtle I would never use. I think I did beat the game like once to them, though, but only once. Medium range and medium speed, basically, with Michelangelo, maybe slightly faster than Leo. Raphael's the fastest and, of course, had the least amount of range. Now, again, Michelangelo used nunchucks. I think you know what those are, or nunchaku. Raphael used sai. Sai or sais, whatever, sai. I always thought they were like daggers, but they're clubs. Those are like weapons you beat people down with, kind of like a nunchuck. You hit people with it. It's you can poke with it and everything, but it is honestly more of a defensive weapon. Like say somebody with a katana, or even nunchucks or a bow or whatever. You can get it caught in the. The point is to get it caught, possibly, in the handle, if you can call it that. I guess they're like the I don't know what you call it even, but the 2 things on the side. You can get like the sword caught in there and like pull it away from the person out of their hands and then beat them up basically with the sai, which is kind of the idea of the ninja. But in this game, my turtle of choice nowadays would be Raphael, because especially with the HD being kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a slower, there's like a delay in response as you're pushing the buttons. Raphael is my choice. Seems like nowadays I can't beat the game like I could anymore, but I'm going to find a way to beat it fair and square as we're doing the review for this one with Raphael. So that is going to be my turtle of choice going forward with this episode. And he is the first turtle that I beat the game with, and I remember beating it easily with Raphael in the past, but had a hell of a time with some of the others. Though for years and years I just fell in love with Donatello in these games because he's still fairly quick. It's not like he's that slow, but I don't know. Like it seemed like Michelangelo was always the weakest as far as I'm concerned. Another thing that's interesting in this game is it looks like they kind of like they go with the color scheme kind of sorta. with the turtles when the figures, the little characters, how Michelangelo would be kind of like a forest greenish. Raphael would be like a light green. Leonardo would be kind of like a plain regular green. And Donatello, I guess more of a brownish green. Though in this game, he's more of a pure green, like just grass green. It looks like Mike and Don, or Mike and Michelangelo and Raphael are kind of a... No, Mike does look darker than Raphael. I don't know. I get confused a bit, but with how it looks. But Leo and Don are kind of more of a pure green, whereas with the characters, Don was like brownish. So it's kind of weird. And then Mike would be like very dark green. So who knows? Some of you had the action figures, some of you didn't. It's all up to you how you went with that. But an extremely enjoyable game, and of course a big background thing with the cartoon. I mean, you can't talk about the game without without getting into the cartoon a little bit. So there is a bit of that. With that now, I think I've babbled enough. Let's actually get to the game itself. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. Like I said before, Raphael it is, without a doubt. So you start off on the top of a building, you yell fire, hang on, April says splinter, down the turtles go into the building, into the apartment. Michelangelo stumbles, which is kind of funny. Scene 1, fire. We gotta get April out. Of course, the music is awesome. It is better in the arcade, but it's still really good here. Now this, obviously, kids don't try this at home. This is not realistic, even in the least. Can you imagine going in a building and there's a fire that big in the background, and you're going to see everything perfectly fine? You realize you'd be completely blinded by the smoke. You're not going to see anything. It's completely dark. So, yeah. Well, now that we got that technicality out of the way, foot soldiers take 2 hits from kicks or just regular swings from your thigh. Obviously, the jump button is A. The B button is attack. Jump, B and A, of course, give you the swing attack like I talked about in the intro all the time. Of course, these are not real people. They are robots. They're machines that blow up every time you hit them, which tells you this would cost a bleeping fortune. Like, Krang must be an absolute billionaire, but he probably is at the end of the day. I will say it once and I'll say it again. Yeah, I mean, these soldiers come out of the doors sometimes, which is interesting, and you see a big fire in there. If the fire was that big, you wouldn't be able to see a damn thing. Like, you'd be completely blind. But of course, this is a video game and not real, an arcade game or an NES game. Where these huge dark balls come from, I have no idea. They come down the stairs and they can cause damage. Of course, you get the regular foot soldiers. You get the ones with the knives. They throw them at you. Those are the blue ones. You'll notice there's a point system. Every time you beat a foot soldier, there's a point. Every 200 points, you get an extra life. And this game does have a few continues in it. And of course, you can see your life meter as well. In the game, if you're not playing with 2 players, you will see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo in the background. You can play with up to 2 players in this game. Me and my brother always thought there'd be a way to play with all 4. No. In the arcade, you could, but of course, everybody'd have to have a quarter and pay their way through, or someone else pay their way through, but they'd have to have a quarter and choose the exact spot. This is Raph, this is Mike, this is blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. This one, yep, you can have up to 2 players in the game, which is still fun, but sometimes it's not the best. I haven't played 2-player in this game in probably 30 years. Now, of course, in the arcade, at least in the home, port nowadays with the Xbox and stuff, how it can be ported, the actual arcade direct port from, the actual game is, well, yeah. I mean, I played with my friend Paul. I think it was all 4 of us once. It was myself, Paul, Marcus, and Antonio. I think we all played one time. It was a lot of fun, actually. But yeah, I don't remember how far we got. Maybe we did go all the way, but lots of fun, to say the least. I don't know what it is, but this is awesome. I'm like laser focused and just rolling through this. I mean, I feel a lot better. It's kind of like when there's more of an intent to beat this game with this podcast. Yeah, it seems like every time I played before, it's like, I don't care. I'm tired. Screw this. And then I'd quit like a level or two in because I'd be sucking and dying and all that stuff. But this has been great. Another thing, kids, don't try this at home either. The foot soldiers are coming out of the elevators. In case of fire, do not use elevator. Well, they're using the elevator. Wow. As you get to the end of the level, clearly it's you're getting to the end here. There's a wall and an opening, like a doorway, so to speak, that's already open. You get these robotic characters that are kind of like it's a unicycle thing. They are in the show. I forgot the name of them, but yep, they can shoot at you like lasers, but they can also wrap you up and electrocute you. Obviously, avoid that like the plague and try not to get hit. But the trick to beating these guys really quickly is to kind of get them against the wall and just hack. They can't move. So obviously, you could get hit by another one from behind as you're moving around. So try to place yourself in a good spot and hack away, and you can kill them quicker that way. These annoying robots. Otherwise, it's time for our first boss. His name is Rocksteady. Rocksteady the Rhino. Yep. Now, of course, when you first go in the room, you'll be a little bit disappointed that Rocksteady isn't there right away. You end up fighting some foot soldiers still, the ones with the swords and also the ones with the guns. But then up comes that transporter thingy that they use in Turtles Forever, and out comes Rocksteady himself. He has a machine gun, he's armed for war, and he's tough. Well, kind of. Jump kicks, folks, jump kicks. Some people use a strategy, especially in the actual arcade, where you just kind of wait for him to kind of come towards you and then hack away at a different angle. Unfortunately, Rocksteady does use a dash attack, and it's really annoying. So you have to kind of time your jumps. If you time it just right, you can get him to, like, you time your jumps and all that. You can get him to kind of try to kick you and miss. Otherwise, he shoots his machine gun as you get further away. And you don't die in one hit like you would in real life. Can you imagine getting shot at with a machine gun by a mutant rhinoceros? Woo! Scary stuff. And once you're getting closer to beating him, he starts blinking. That's always an indicator, like, you're doing well, you're getting close. And the faster he blinks, the closer you are to beating him. And once you get what I call a brown, like when the blinking is so fast, he's basically like almost like a brownish orangish color, you're pretty much a hit or two away from being victorious. In a lot of ways, the goal here is to try to get past Rocksteady without dying once, and thankfully I was successful. Ever so closely, Shredder then comes out of the transporter or the capsule, kidnaps April, and then you head to scene 2. Come on, after that Shredder creep. To the sidewalk we go in New York City. Alright, well, level 2. Chasing that Shredder creep, you can play, I don't know, like racquetball or something with, like tennis or ricochet with your sais or whatever weapons when foot soldiers come out of the sewers and throw the manhole cover at you. It's kind of funny. I don't think it would work quite that simple, where you could just knock it back at them like baseball. That's actually the real sport I'm looking at. What's real interesting is the TV. When you notice you walk up and there's this, I don't know, a TV inside a window, maybe it's like a mall or something, and it's like a flat screen TV back in 91 or 90, so that's kind of cool. Where basically April in the arcade and in this one, you don't hear any audibles in this show. In this game is April saying "help me" and Shredder saying, "tonight I dine on turtle soup." But yeah, so that's always entertaining as well. Very famous statement that was in the first season of Turtles. Imagine that. Another fun little thing you can do is hit the fire hydrant. It blasts out water. It'll kill a foot soldier instantly because the cover comes out and, knocks them to Kingdom Come, basically. Love the graphics. Once again, of course, it's Konami. It's Ultra, but it's Konami. You know what I mean? Because, the fun fact of Ultra, if you didn't know already, like long ago, is that it's like a created subsidiary by Konami. Because back in the day, the NES or Nintendo, basically in general, did not allow companies to bring out a certain amount of games. They were limited to how many games they could release per year. So Ultra was created as like a subsidiary of Konami to say, hey, it's a different company. So that's where Turtles comes in with Ultra instead of Konami, even though it is Konami. So there's the explanation as to why it's Ultra when I keep saying the words Konami. The graphics, like the brick buildings in the background, really cool. Love it. Again, rely on, you get foot soldiers they have the purple look, but they throw dynamite at you, so those are kind of annoying. So, of course, try to time your hits as best possible, because the dynamite will land on you and damage you. That's not a fun thing at all, of course. Another funny thing is you come up to another building, you can see pizza up in the, you can call it, balcony, up above. Don't get it until you're almost done in the screen. Obviously, take any hits you might take from the foot soldiers, cheap hits or whatever, bad luck or whatever. Obviously, wait to get the pizza until it's like the screen is about to scroll the pizza off of it, which will come eventually. In fact, there's also a lady with very large, something. Very large something. And you can actually hit her and you get a point for it. She screams, so that's the only audible voice you hear is maybe screams by April and this lady here, which is kind of funny. You get points for hitting a woman. That's interesting. So violent game, I tell you. Again, be careful not to actually let the pizza get scrolled off the screen, because if you do, it's, well, guess what? Too bad. You're SOL. Very simple. Then you get the diagonal effect, which can be annoying at first and disorienting for gamers for the first time they're playing through this, especially back then. The yellow foot soldiers throw boomerangs. They can be a pain, but take them out quickly before they, throw their weapons at you, just like the dynamite guys and stuff. Yep, I'm getting knocked around a little bit, unfortunately. But yeah, these foot soldiers are causing damage everywhere. They're jumping through windows, and it's messed up. So obviously the streets are already beat to hell, but I suppose it's New York at the end of the 80s. Unfortunately, New York around this time was not in real good shape, at least from what a lot of us thought. You get these nice, gigantic ads, paper wall ads on the buildings. You could say, that say what? They say Pizza Hut. Yeah. Watch out though, because they will fall down and hit you and damage you because there are foot soldiers hiding behind those ads. But get your Pizza Hut, dang it. And then once you get to a screen where you see a beat up old car from the 50s, I'm guessing, approximately the 1950s, you're on the verge of getting to Dweeb Slop, as me and my brother used to call him, but Bebop is actually his name. Unfortunately, there will be foot soldiers first. But, Bebop it is. Let's get ready to roll. Also take note, you can fall down the sewer, which will damage you. So watch out for that stupid manhole that's now open because, of course, one of the boomerang foot soldiers came out and threw the, threw the cover at you. Bebop. Well, yeah, Bebop. Yep, the mohawked shades, nose piercing, blah, blah, blah. Nasty guy called, Warthog, who used to be, a street punk, basically, just like Rocksteady was, the rhinoceros. This guy's kind of hard. He's one of the tougher ones to deal with. Jump kicks are the most reliable way to beat him, I would have to say, but you can also, in the arcade especially, you just kind of wait for him to kind of come down, and you come up and come down and you swing at him, but that's the arcade. This one, I think you rely more so on jump kicks. You can also try that as well. Yeah, patience is a huge key with this guy. He's a pain in the butt. Don't get impatient, and of course, hopefully you have enough power with the current life you have that you can take care of him and take him down before he takes you down and you lose a life. Because, of course, if you do survive, even with one bit of power, and you get to the next level, you'll have full power. So, yeah, that's the idea. Bebop, of course, does do the dash attack. You can tell when he's going to do it pretty often. Yeah, he's going to do it. There is that. He's got that gun that's kind of like it's kind of like a ripple laser. Yep, it's not like a machine gun, like an army gun, like a Rocksteady. This guy's a little more futuristic. It's kind of like the ripple laser in Gradius. Yeah, that's kind of the most similar thing I can imagine. I mean, it's from Dimension X. What do you expect? His uppercut punches are probably the most annoying, because even though you're getting a good rhythm with your jump kicks, he'll get you sometimes. But again, survival is what counts, not perfection. That's what counts. And when you take him down, obviously he starts blinking. Again, be patient. The faster he blinks, the closer he is to being done. And, of course, once he's blinking so fast, it looks like he's like a dark orange or brownish color. You're a hit or two away, and into the sewers we go. Cowabunga, dudes. Oh man, there's nothing more satisfying than beating Bebop when you have one piece of when you have one bar of power left. He's a pain in the ass. But again, if you can get the rhythm going. But anyhow, the Sewers. Yes, you'll recognize this song if you happen to be a Purple Mafia listener. That's my Minnesota Vikings podcast. This is usually the outro, like the end of the show. Is this Sewers song from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. And yeah, the Sewers. This is a lot of fun. A great level to play through, no doubt. The music definitely is so this is a case where the music is actually different than the arcade game. I like the arcade ones more. It's pretty cool. It's one of the coolest songs in the arcade version, honestly. So this song is different, but it is a very similar level to the arcade game. It's just a different song. Again, I will say I favor the arcade one, even though this one's actually good enough that it got on one of my it gets on one of my podcasts. You'll get hammer foot soldiers, which are kind of like a darkish reddish color. Yeah, but sledgehammers, and yeah, they're a real pain. So luckily they can't swing real quick, just like you'd expect a heavy item like that. Hack away with your double, AB attack, your whirlwind attack, and kill them in one hit. That's the way to go here. Eventually you'll get to a point where there's like a hidden missile launcher in the water. So watch out for that, of course. You could stay there for a while and rack up points. If you just kind of stand there and swing away, maybe you want to get to 200 points or something quick, which oftentimes I've done in the past. It's kind of boring and tedious, but you rack up points if you want to possibly get extra guys or extra lives or whatever we like to call it. But obviously highly recommended. Wait until all the foot soldiers on the screen are gone and there's like not a new one coming at you. Wait until you don't have to deal with any type of a double attack, because it's just simply not worth it. What's really annoying is the son of a gun, sometimes the missile anyway, comes out from the other side of the screen, depending on what side of the screen you're on. Like say if you're on the the left, it comes out the right. If you're on the right, it comes out the left. And if you're in the middle, it just kind of makes its own decision, basically. Whatever pixel you're closest to, I suppose. Oh, and it doesn't last forever either. That's the other thing I forgot. Yeah, it actually does run out. And you get those effing mousers that come chewing their way out of the wall, the sewer wall from 1890 or wherever, how far back we're talking here. This is New York City, baby, so there's pretty complicated. I think it's about 4 or 5 of them. You can, again, time your hits with the dual attack or whirlwind attack, and you'll take them out in one hit as well. That's a good way to do it. Otherwise, they're really annoying. They could bite you and drain your energy quickly. So don't bleep around with those guys. As they might say in Australia, tell the mouser to bugger off. Or bugger off, excuse me. Honestly, a great way to get rid of the foot soldiers is because you know how they always appear in the sidewalk part of the sewers and you could be in the water the whole time at the upper area. That's where you could just kind of hang out down there, well, at the top part of it, and swing away as fast as you can and take out the foot soldiers before they can attack you. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but for the most part, if you time things well, you're going to be pretty successful. Unfortunately, eventually, some foot soldiers do start coming out of the water, like these samurai ones, like me and my brother used to call them. But if anything, they're just ninja. Yeah, they're ninjas with katanas. They're not samurais. They're ninjas. Samurais wear much larger outfits. I think you already know that. Then you get to an area where these bars are coming out of the ceiling, I guess, and come down to hit you or whatever. So avoid that. It's not too hard if you just time things right and go into the water. You will have a dual danger, though, with missiles coming out of the water again. And like I said earlier, they are limited. They run out after a while. But try to blow up all the missiles with your sai or bow or whatever character you're using by hanging around there after the foot soldiers are gone. And that's when you get to 200 points and get your first extra life. Yeah, so you don't just stand at the other place for 50. I think there's about, I don't know if it's 20 missiles or 15, but it's around that category. The exact number doesn't matter all that much. Just be patient and take them out. That's all. Eventually you can tell you're at the end as there's like what appears to be a tunnel in front of you. And this will be Baxter Stockman in his little machine. Yes, Baxter Stockman. Well, jump kicks, folks, jump kicks.
I'll get you, turtles! You bastards!
No, I'm just kidding. Pretty good possibility that Baxter Stockman and Krang are played by the same voice actor. Pretty sure. He's got to be the best voice actor in that cartoon back in the good old days, like the real Turtles. Unfortunately, Baxter's machine does release mousers. They're the biggest threat, of course. And yes, you will get bit and it'll be annoying, and especially when they start really multiplying and all that. But jump kicks are your best friend in this battle. Just try to stay airborne as much as possible. And jump kicks also kill mousers in one hit, because think about it, you're putting a lot of weight on the son of a gun and you're breaking their joints, you could say. Na boo boo to those bastards. And eventually Baxter starts blinking. He never blinks faster. I mean, he's blinking at a kind of fairly quick speed, and then eventually it blows up. He does not die. He turns into a fly, but you don't see it happen until the little screen afterward, where you'll see Shredder, you'll see April tied up, Shredder with this irritated look, Baxter Stockman as the fly, and Shredder saying, "Tonight I dine on turtle soup." Yeah. Well, yeah. Onto the parking lot-ish level. No, actually, no. Onto the, not the parking lot, onto the wintry level we go. Oh, boy. Well, as they say, it's time to melt the snow and rebuild New York City. I'm not sure what they need to rebuild. I mean, it's just, cold. So watch out for falling ice blocks. That's interesting. That'd be quite intimidating. That's biblical, like massive pieces of hail that would kill you in one hit. Well, it doesn't kill you in one hit in this game, but it would in real life. So, yeah, I mean, otherwise you get the standard foot soldiers and such. Eventually you're going to get some plows coming your way, and yeah, should be fun. Lots of great memories of this level. Not that it was fun always, but the music is good, I think, and obviously it's unique to this game versus the actual arcade game, which I've probably said 50 times already, but it's okay. It's a nice addition to the game. I don't think it's like, oh, this is dumb, what's the point? No, it's fine. Especially in my neck of the woods, being from Minnesota, yeah, it's kind of cool to have a winter level. Why the heck not? So basically when the screen kind of stops moving, that's your cue to, be ready because a plow is coming through. A plow with big spikes is coming through, so you'll want to jump over it. Very unrealistic in terms of you could like land on the plow, and it's like a ghost basically. The only part that damages you is the spikes. So pretty unrealistic in reality. If you hit that when coming down from your jump, you'd probably be in pretty big trouble. Of course, you're going to start seeing Pizza Hut ads again, which is okay. It's cool. It's a nice sign and makes you want Pizza Hut. Well, at least some of us. No, I like Pizza Hut. Just kidding. Of course, watch out for the open manholes that are covered with snow. You can be able to tell the difference pretty easily. If you fall, you lose health. Yeah. Then you get the obnoxious snowmen. Well, jump kicks definitely are probably a safe way to go. You can swing at them pretty hard because they're not real efficient in the way they move. It's like a robotic machine underneath the snow part of the snowman. So yeah, it's another unique character in this game. I remember being able to kick the missiles in the past, but maybe it's a Mandela effect or my memory's wrong. You can only kill the missiles by, because they shoot missiles. Yeah, snowmen that shoot missiles. I know. You can only kill them with your weapon. You can't kick them. Then you get the sky blue foot soldiers that throw snowballs at you. Cool. Now, why there are like 55 like manholes everywhere, it doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. It's just an annoying obstacle you got to deal with. I don't know. It's stupid. I remember an old effective way to get rid of the snowmen because, they come again. It's annoying. It's to kind of trap them on the end of the screen and just kind of hack or kick away. But, yeah, of course, I didn't remember it too well until recently. And then you get to Tora, the polar bear guy. Yep, I don't know if he looks... Yeah, well, he's a polar bear guy with a leather jacket. That's interesting. Yes, and there's your weather manipulator ball thingy next to the transporter machine from Dimension X. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Well, the best way to get rid of this guy, what is it? Jump kicks. And you can also get in a rhythm when he's trying to go back to grab a ice ball that's going to come from the sky and throw it at you. That's how he gets you, other than doing like karate chops and some kicking. But if you can get in a rhythm where you just kick, you'll do a ton of damage pretty quickly and hopefully dispatch of him fairly soon. Another thing I thought I remembered was that there'd be a pizza there, but well, I guess not, so that kind of sucks. What an incredible relief when you start seeing him blink and everything happens, and man, it's wonderful. Well, then you destroy the weather manipulator and you get the cute song. And imagining whichever turtle it is saying, "Spring is here." Raph, I can imagine him being more sarcastic, like, "Well, spring is here. I guess that's a good thing." Or Leonardo, "Spring is here," like more dramatic. So, I don't know. That's all I just imagine the different characters. "Spring is here." Donatello, "Dude, spring is here. Whoa, major awesomeness." And then you get to the parking lot level with the very boxy looking early, I would say they're more early 80s looking cars than, say, late 80s, like when this came out, or 1990. But I suppose a lot of the early 80 cars were only 8 or 9 years old back then, like, or 6 or 7 years old. Man, that takes you, that's a long time ago. Can you imagine a car nowadays that you think of as like an absolute antique, like something from 81 would be, only about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old? I mean, my car's older than that, and it's a 2012. It's not that old, is it? Whatever. Parking lot. Very Turtles-like music. Enjoy.
cowabunga to that. Pretty cool, huh? Hip, it's exciting, and yeah, like I was talking about the 80s cars and such, and yeah, I like it very much. You get the cones in the parking lot. Yeah, it feels like obviously cones aren't necessarily 80s, they can be any time. Question is, why would there be cones in some of the areas they're at? There's no reason for it. It looks like a factory-ish, not a factory, more like a warehouse parking lot. You got the trucks, you get the gas drums, which I have no idea what that's for. F15, well, it's not F5, so you're not going to refresh on your browser or whatever, or just, well, refresh things in general. It's usually the browser. Yeah, well, yep. You can use you can light up the gas, the fuel drum, whatever, by simply striking it with your weapon, and it will start to blow up. Unfortunately, you can get damaged too if you're standing around. So get away. Let the foot soldiers stupidly jump into it and kill themselves, as they are wont to do. You can also hit the signs, and in the arcade version, the signs spin. Just like, but in this version, they fly off and hit foot soldiers. So yeah. Also be aware, there are some cars that come racing outward to hit you. So kind of take your time as you're scrolling forward. Don't get too excited. You can always kind of feel it. Like maybe it's a different color car. Okay, I kept thinking this orange car was going to jump out, but it didn't. But yeah. Why do I have a feeling it's still going to happen? Nope, I'm like paranoid. But yeah, just scroll gently forward because the cars will diagonally come out and hit you. You get the knife soldiers, you get the sword ones, you get the purple ones, the regular karate soldiers. Yeah, it is what it is. And as I thought, the number does continue. F15, F16. Ooh, sounds like fighter jets. F15s were pretty cool, though they were really cool. F16s were awesome. F14, which we didn't see, that's that Tomcat. Remember those? Classic Top Gun. Anyone? Top Gun? Ah, yes, I can just feel it right now. It's the first of the two blue cars, beautiful blue cars. It comes racing out, and then out comes some machine gun foot soldiers. Yeah, first of the two blue cars. I think there's another set of that coming up later. Also, one of the vans or whatever, like vans or like cargo trucks, whatever the heck you'd call it. It's a van. Yeah, the doors fly open and 3 foot soldiers come out. But I used to be able to do a trifecta, like do the twirl and kill all 3 of them in one shot. That was awesome. The trifecta. Also, again, please forgive me if my voice doesn't sound as good as it did maybe earlier in the show. This particular segment, I'm kind of recovering from something, unfortunately. So, yes, as you're probably hearing everywhere in like the like January-ish, 2025, that there's something going around. Yeah, well, Now I believe it's a set of 2 consecutive orange cars. Yeah, because you notice how nothing else is happening. It's kind of like a warning sign. Oh, plus the lights are different. That might help too. Yeah, the lights are different. They just look different. They don't have like the ball lights. It's more like just kind of a straight up, like, I don't know, like the whole triangle's filled, if that makes any sense. And I think after that, yeah, you light up the fuel drum. The door flies open, and I killed 0 foot soldiers because the fuel drum blew up first. Shoot. Well, that's Joey for you. Once you start seeing what appears to be like like a garage type of thing, like yellow, like caution, like stay away from here. That's F18, as you'll see on the wall. Work your way down the screen because you don't want to accidentally walk on the pizza that's going to come up. You want to save that pizza in case you need it during the boss fight. So, yeah, common sense type of thing. Unfortunately, you get some star throwing purple foot soldiers. That's kind of annoying because, yeah, you're not expecting it and you keep getting hit. I suppose the pizza is way off in the front area of the screen, but on the upper part, and you get a nice Pizza Hut ad in the background again, hanging there. So they're even advertising Pizza Hut in this warehouse / factory parking lot. And then out of this garage comes who else but Baxter Stockman. That stupid Baxter. Just kidding. And April O'Neil bound by a rope. And, of course, you know what happens when you defeat Baxter. But otherwise, Baxter's not that hard. Should I play the boss music again? And like I said, yes, this is Baxter as the Fly, which you already know, but then again, well, you would know if you're playing it along with me, otherwise if you're just listening for the memories and the fun of it, and maybe it'll get you excited to play again. Yes, he's a Fly now, and there is no Fly Baxter in the arcade. I've mentioned that already. This would be Bebop and Rocksteady instead in the arcade, which is pretty cool. Especially funny as hell when you got this two to collide into each other. That was funny. And we will again have a separate review about the arcade game itself later on, because why the hell not? That'd be dumb to put these two together. What for? Baxter, though, to the point. Jump kicks. Just get in a rhythm. Jump kick, jump kick, jump kick. He'll miss you a million times if you get in a nice rhythm with your jump kicks, kind of staying up there, kind of like high where he is, and not with weed, but just high in the air, and just kind of take him down. Not too hard, honestly. It's interesting how you actually see him using the waffle iron once in a while when you get close, how he'll hit, with the action figures, he has a waffle iron as one of his weapons. I don't remember that in the show. Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't really remember that. But with the action figures, yes. So it is kind of interesting that they put that in this game. It's kind of cool. And really the best way to kill Baxter extremely easy is to get him on the edge of either side of the screen and just keep kicking away in that direction. So it's kind of like pushing him to the invisible background. He can't do anything. He's pretty much defenseless at that point. Just kick his ass, literally. It is kind of funny. When he goes down, he literally goes down like a fly dying. Yeah, you know how they start twitching and stuff? It's kind of like, oh, that's kind of funky. You get in the turtle van when April O'Neil gives you a kiss. Isn't that adorable? And yes, you are the character you were. Otherwise, scene 4, let's get to that secret factory. So we were in like something else. Something like a warehouse parking lot, pretty much. That's pretty much what that was. Now we're out in the streets of New York City. It's like a big old bridge kind of area. Maybe it's the Brooklyn Bridge. That's probably what it's supposed to be, but they don't officially say that. But yeah, it's one of the least interesting levels of the game because all you really do is fight foot soldiers the whole frickin' way. But the music's pretty good. Check it out. Do enjoy. Good music, but yeah, welcome to one of the more boring levels in the entire game. You open up, of course, with foot soldiers, more foot soldiers, and more foot soldiers. Not to mention the place is kind of boring in terms of it's a lot of gray, but what do you expect? You're walking on a bridge, basically. Must be the Brooklyn Bridge. Again, music is good. You also get an introduction of spear foot soldiers. Those guys can be pretty tough. They can throw the spear at you. They can poke you with it and such. And just the thought of getting, jabbed in the quad by a spear is scary as hell, especially the thought of the femoral artery being in your quad. Yikes. So, I don't know. Sorry for thinking about that, but pretty scary. You know what the most annoying part about the spear foot soldiers? They find a way to have unlimited spears. I don't know if it's... so when they throw the spear at you, they still have their spear. Sure, makes sense. Not. Also, the fact you're on what would be like a massive highway and all that, be aware that you're probably going to be in danger of cars coming to hit you. But unfortunately, it's just cars with foot soldiers in them. So, yeah, all the other cars, they just don't apply. I don't know, maybe there's some kind of crazy protest going on or something. Who knows? You'll also see a return of those annoying those robot characters again from Season 1 in TMNT, the original series, 1987. The only series, as far as I'm concerned. The rest of it can, go somewhere
regardless how the young generation might tell me to blah, blah, blah and stop yelling at a cloud. Yeah, I don't care. I'll keep yelling at the cloud all I want. This is better. Yeah, those guys, the ones that can electrocute you and all that. Yeah, they're back. So again, try to pin them to the edge of the screen and take them out. Apologize for my voice. It's still not recovered yet since the last segment, so it is what it is. I do honestly believe the spear foot soldiers are the worst in the game. I think they're awful. So, yeah, you try to take them out as quick as you can, but you always find a way to get hit and hit and hit and hit, unless you're some kind of perfect superstar. I don't know. They do make it pretty obvious, as you probably expected, when a car might be coming or something else. I believe there's motorcycles coming up too. Yes, of course. But they make it pretty obvious by, like, nothing's going on. That's when it's your cue to kind of back up a little bit. Back up from the front of the screen if you're kind of walking at the front, because you will get nailed by the car, yes. Then there's some real interesting ones that look like they're carrying bombs that would be, carried on a bomber. Like bombs, that blow up bridges and stuff. Yeah, well, they don't blow up the bridge. They just hurt you, the foot soldiers carrying them. So be aware. You want him to actually throw the bomb first before you hit him. And then they just turn into a regular foot soldier after that. And the bomb doesn't blow up the bridge. In real life, there'd be so much damage. It'd be frightening. Because obviously if you hit the foot soldier, he's going to drop it and you're going to get hit. Yeah. And the foot soldier doesn't take damage. He's immune to the bomb, but not to your jump kick. Interesting. Once you get to the motorcycle part, if you want to be a nerd and rack up points for a while, you can stay on the screen as the motorcycles just keep coming forever. Literally forever, unless you move forward. That's when there's like a tire basically at the top of the screen, a gigantic tire that you'd probably expect on a monster truck or something. There is no monster truck in this game, unfortunately. But there are, foot soldiers driving motorcycles. You can kick them off the motorcycle and they die, they blow up, and you get a point. And it would repeat forever. If you want to sit there and rack up like 100 points, it's up to you if you want to do that. I'm not so sure I'm gonna this time around. It's pretty boring, but I used to do it all the time back in the day. And of course, eventually there's a car with 2 motorcycles as well. So yeah, that comes up when everything kind of stops as you're moving forward. The same cue, get out of the way. Yeah. The good news is once you get to the screen where you see a bunch of purple tires and all that, you're near the end. You have to fight off the foot soldiers for an extended period. It goes on and on and on for a while, but you're at the end at least. So if you have a decent amount of power left, you're probably going to get through the level without losing a life, I hope. After that, well, that's it. And then you get to go on the skateboarding level, which is kind of fun, I guess, for some people. It's fun for some, not for others. Skateboarding, yeah, it's a mechanical skateboard, and you get attacked by helicopters, foot soldiers and helicopters. Jump kick. Basically, jump kick. You can get kind of in a rhythm, and it's not too hard. It can be annoying as hell at times, but here's the music for this stage. Yeah, so it's basically a mini stage, but it has its own song, so that's why I played it. It's a mini stage. It's still the stupid bridge. So I guess you could call these guys mini bosses too. Like I said, it's all about rhythm with jump kicks. You're not going to be doing the swinging with your blade because they're up in the air. So yeah, just like Baxter Stockman, try to avoid the bombs in this case that come down, because that can hurt you when you land. Unfortunately, they can get in a rhythm too, basically, where you're like trapped either via the bombs or the shots. So oof. Be aware of that. It will make you so mad you'll want to smash the the TV screen or computer screen, depending on how you're playing this. And yes, you do fight foot soldiers as well. Ugh, annoying. Foot soldiers on the same type of skateboards with machine guns. Ugh, annoying. And then when you can't move anymore, everything kind of goes automatic. You have one. After fighting a couple more helicopters again. But again, the rhythm. If you can kick fast enough, they don't even get a shot off. So it's like, what? You're either going to destroy that level or it's going to drive you nuts. One of the two. Or a little bit of both. Otherwise, you skateboard yourself onto the turtle van, which then I don't know if it's you driving, Donatello, Leonardo, probably Donatello. He's usually the driver in the cartoon. It's either Donatello or Michelangelo, I think. And you total the turtle van for some reason. I don't remember that ever happening in the show. But, I mean, I'm sure Donatello would find a way to replace it or fix it or whatever in the future. But you total the turtle van, smashing into a factory-type place, warehouse factory, basically. And it's scene 5. Come on, let's bust this joint. So, yeah, we're going to take on one of the most annoying bosses in the entire bleeping game. But, and hopefully my voice feels better as we continue into scene 5. Come on, let's bust this joint. Well, you certainly busted it, didn't you? Oh boy, not one of the more pleasant levels of the game. The music's pretty good. You get greeted by Mousers at the beginning. How quaint. That's always fun to deal with. But obviously, like always, 2 hits. You can kick them and all that. You can just hack away. Yeah, they come out of the ground, I guess. But that's how that goes. And then you get the foot soldiers. Kind of the standard stuff. Then you get to deal with lasers, so you have an option to go on the upper platform or jump over the laser. I say go on the upper platform. Like, why tempt your fate? Unfortunately, you get to run into machine gun foot soldiers, but they do shoot down. They want to shoot you in the toes. Yeah, so you already know about those guys. Let me tell you, this level is going to have you begging for pizza time and time again. There is one at the very end before Granitor, arguably the most annoying boss in the game. But yeah, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? The cool part is when the foot soldiers that come on the lower area, they don't get hit by the laser, but they're very vulnerable to your attacks as they're jumping onto the stage or platform or whatever, and you can take them out much easier than the ones that are already up there. And you get another unique character from the early episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They look kind of like turtles coming down from the sky. They're robotic characters from Dimension X or creations from Krang's army or whatever the heck they are. And yeah, they shoot like ripple lasers at you. It's kind of annoying, but you can take them out with jump kicks and whatever, so try your best. They kind of make you think of Gradius with the ripple lasers a little bit. Gradius. I call it Gradius, doggone it. And then the drilling module comes. It's time for the boss. No, it isn't. That's what we used to think. Instead, it's robot helicopter type things that you can kick and avoid the lasers, of course. Really annoying, actually. And it's 2 sets of them. Isn't that nice? And then you get the annoying robotic cranes that shoot at you. I don't know if it's lasers or fireballs or whatever the heck it is. It's like projectiles at you. Thankfully, they're not facing the same direction. So once you're able to get in between the 2 of them, just hack away with your sai or bow or whatever the heck you're using, and they'll eventually stall and die, whatever. So, yeah. You will see these in the Technodrome coming up, so it's kind of a preview for that. Stay towards the bottom of the screen at this point because you're coming up to the boss. You do not want to use up the pizza before you, unless you have like no power. Yeah, but if you have a few bars left, save them. Yeah, you're going to want every bit of energy you have for the frickin' Granitor because he stinks. He's really tough, and I hate him. I'm not the only person that hates him either. Very cheap. We'll get to him in a second. So yes, I guess we will cue the boss music now. Oh boy. Yep, you'll notice Splinter is hanging there as well, tied up. But yes, cue the boss music. Oh, Granitor. Yeah, he's basically a rock soldier from Dimension X, but his name is Granitor. I don't know why that is. Jump kicks, basically. In the arcade game, it's a little different. You kind of wait for him to kind of come to you, kind of like Bebop. He's similar to Bebop, but definitely harder. He's got a flamethrower and a very mean swing with his gun. He will knock you to Kingdom Come every time he hits you. But yes, be careful, be careful, be careful. He is one hard mamma jamma. Oh, the satisfaction. The patience that you need to have with this guy is up the charts. You are going to get unbelievably impatient because it gets extremely repetitive. Your fingers get really, 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 really tired. And you got to just keep executing. You got to just keep jump kicking. Don't get impatient trying to swing at him and all that. Yeah, holy cow. When he dies, the satisfaction is off the charts because it takes like a million hits. It feels like eternity until the son of a biscuit starts blinking. But once he does, you don't have too much more to go. The key also with the jump kicks, try to set it up where when you're kicking him, your landing spot is a decent amount of distance away so you can get away before he swings his gun at you, his fire gun at you. But oh Lord, you're going to get hit a lot. You're going to hit him a million times and he'll finally go down. And then I guess you're kind of transferring up into this extra level, which is the Shogun Warrior level, where we're going to go up against Ninja Magic, basically. The actual name of the level is Let's Defeat the Enemy's Ninja Magic. So yeah, this is one of the most obnoxious levels in the game. It's a dojo. It looks like the graphics are cool and the idea is cool. It's just really hard and annoying. And there's a lot of ninja magic here. There's some robots and some magical stuff that when you beat it, it burns up and disappears and all that. And the Shogun is really tough. He doesn't have the stamina that the Granitor has, but it's kind of like more offense, less defense. Like the Granitor takes like a million hits. Kind of like, again, Krang and Shredder as well. But there's 3 bosses in the Technodrome. Oh yeah, General Track, he is a tough son of a gun. He's basically similar to the Granitor again. Not as, I don't think he has as much stamina, but then Krang has a million hit points basically, and Shredder has less, and there's a fairly easy strategy to beat Shredder if you're patient. Once again, patience is the key. Level 6, enjoy. Oh boy, welcome to that ancient Japanese magic level. Yep, looks like a dojo. You're in like the same building, basically. It's like you went up a floor. You're on level 7. You're on the 7th floor, essentially. Music is cool for the most part, but it can get very agitating as well. Everything about this level is agitating, honest to God. It's not easy. Some of it's the repetitious stuff, like foot soldiers coming through the not the windows in this case, just coming out of doors in the dojo and all that, and the cool, like, I don't even know what to call them. It looks like a lantern type of thing, but it's like a stand, that type of deal. So the graphics are cool and all that. The idea is cool, but the level's annoying and hard, yeah. So, yeah. You can also tell there's a Turtles theme to the music, as usually there is that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da in the background, but it's, yeah. Like I talked about earlier, you get some unique robotic bad guys. Yeah, these are not ninja magic. They look like, I don't know, kind of like apes covered with armor and a helmet, and they throw projectiles at you. And the trick with them is, with a lot of characters, we see with them, you can kind of trap them at the edge of the screen, either the right or the left, and hack away. But unfortunately, you might have the other one coming at you. So if you can somehow get both of them trapped, you're in good shape, because they come 2 at a time. Isn't that nice? After a while, it feels unbearable. They don't stop coming. It's like about 6. It's 6 of them at least. It might even be 8. I get mixed up sometimes, but it's annoying. It's more than 4, put it that way. The New York skyline in the background does look pretty cool. That's a nice effect when you get the windows. And yep, you're on the 7th floor. You're not like on ground level, so it's a cool look. Not that the 7th level's that high, but you're going to see a lot of skyscrapers in the background. Now, why it would repeat? No, it doesn't repeat. I don't think you get the 3D effect. No, that's the unfortunate part. It looks like a portrait more than a background, but it is the background. They just don't do the 3D effect for some reason. Now that would be cool. You even have another semi-unique thing where the foot soldiers are coming out of the floor. That's nice. It's annoying, and yes, you can fall through the floor. Yeah. Another small but semi-interesting little nugget, you could say, a little fun fact is when you see candles, I don't know if there's only 2 in the level. Not many. But unlike other projectiles that you can hit, like you hit them and they can hit other characters, you automatically get a point when you hit the candles. So if that means anything to you, obviously you probably have access to maybe 600 points by now, which means some extra guys hopefully along the way. Every 200 points, it's an extra guy. So that'd be 3, depending on how well you're succeeding, especially in a level like this. Beware also, eventually you're going to run into some spears coming out of the floor. So kind of have a feeling like try to hang out near the top of the screen if possible, just out of paranoia itself, because, oh, that sucks. And it turns out hanging out near the top of the screen doesn't help either. The only way to get around those damn spears is, I don't even know, kind of taking your time and jumping over them. It's annoying. It's actually one of the worst parts of the level, honest to God. And after that, you get some real nice relief here, dealing with the magic tigers that come out of the windows or whatever. Oh my God. Ugh. Well, again, try your best to trap them if you can. Don't keep your distance to a point, but don't keep too much distance. If you get too close, they'll jump and hit you. If you're too far, they'll jump and hit you. So it's kind of like one of those type of deals, a catch-22. But if you can kind of trap them at the edge of the screen, sort of, and hack away, you may get lucky and get rid of them quickly that way. Also, again, once they walk off the screen, do not walk close to the screen because they will jump in and get you. See, the trick is when you hit them, try your best to try to get them in a spot where you can hack away. It's not easy to do. Odds are, unless you're just some supreme gamer, you're probably going to get hit multiple times. Oh yes, per tiger, by the way. And they take what feels like double-digit hits. I think it's like 12. Ugh, it's flipping ridiculous. Like, dude, ugh. And yes, and no, jump kicks don't work. You have to use your weapon. One cool and effective trick, if they're jumping over you, turn around and then swing, because you might actually hit them and then you don't get hit, they do. So it's effective, so try that. When they finally burn up and go away, it's like, praise the Lord. Oh my God, I hate them so much. They're from hell. I mean, they really are. Like, they're seriously from hell. That's why they burn up. Yeah, it's the only the only explanation I can have about those frickin' tigers. Oh, and more annoying monsters from hell. Mechanical scorpions. I don't know anymore. Yeah, they shoot lasers at you and stuff, and yeah, you try to trap them. That same kind of similar strategy with those mechanical monkeys. Sometimes I forget even how to get these guys. These you can kick, just like the monkeys actually is very effective. And yes, if you can get these trapped at the edge of the screen, you're in really good shape. But it's not easy to do, especially the fact there's 2 of them. And man, I am getting obliterated right now. Honest to God, getting the scorpions trapped at the edge of the screen is essential. Otherwise, they'll eat up like half of your freaking life. They will destroy you. So if you can get them to the edge of the screen and hack away, you're doing a great job. Then you get the stupid monkey robots that throw knives again. Yeah, well, jump kicks are the most efficient thing you can do and try to trap them at the screen. Not with your weapon, but with your jump kicks. It's kind of different strategy, obviously. The scorpions just hack away. You can hit them with jump kick, but hack away at the edge of the screen. Much more effective. And once you see the pizza, you know you're near the end of the level. Unfortunately, there's like 15,000 bleeping foot soldiers first just to drive you nuts. So odds are you're probably going to need the pizza before you even get to Shogun. But once the yeah, this level sucks. Once you're done with that, yep, the Shogun it is. Let's do some more battle music and talk about the Shogun Warrior. Woohoo! Yeah, the Shogun Warrior sucks. Yeah, he has his spear and his head comes off and he looks kind of like Casey Jones a little bit. He looks kind of like Casey Jones as a, well, he kind of does with his mask, I guess, and the longer hair. Casey Jones in the movie. Yeah, I guess in the cartoon too. I don't know, jump kicks, I guess, and avoid the stupid head. It's really annoying. It's a tough battle. So you got to worry about hitting the head, also while trying to attack the headless warrior. Ooh, happy Halloween. Kind of treat him like the Granitor if you can. Jump kicks, jump kicks, jump kicks, and be patient and all that, also while avoiding the head, yes. He has nowhere near the stamina / hit points as Granitor, not even close. So if you can get in a rhythm, he's actually easier than the Granitor. He's similar, but yeah, if you can get in a rhythm where you're missing the head, you're in great shape. Otherwise, yeah, congratulations, you did it, and off to the Technodrome where you go. You found the Technodrome, you jumped to the Technodrome. What's the title of the scene 7? We got to find the Technodrome. The dumbest name in the history of video games. We have to find the Technodrome. But you did find it, and you're inside it. Okay, well, anyhow, let's find the Technodrome, I guess. Level 7, here we go. Well, all right, the Technodrome it is. Shred head, and of course, yes, the high tech and all that. Yeah, might as well be. I don't know. It's an iDrome. I don't know. It's an iPhone in 19 whatever year it was, 1990. Yeah, well, whatever it was. It's exciting to be here. Everything is flashing and all that stuff in the background. It's high tech. It's the Technodrome. Yeah. And you get those annoying cranes shooting at you. Yeah, it's really annoying. They're not lasers. I don't know what they are, like fireball type stuff. And well, you have to get around both of them and then hack away and make them stall, basically, because they're busted. Hack, creak. Oh, what a relief it is. Or ting. Oh, what a relief it is. Yep, well, it's nice when they're dead. You'll notice something sticking out of the wall. It is a laser. Yes, be ready. Don't just walk into it. And then you get to deal with the katana foot soldiers with the laser halfway on the screen. So yes, your area of play is much smaller, unfortunately, than you'd like. So you're probably more likely to use jump kicks than the twirl effect, just to be safe. And then you get the liquid nitrogen freeze spray things that come out of the ground. That's great. So basically, try to jump kick them if you can. Be careful. Obviously, there's no real rhyme or reason other than they just appear in front of you. So yeah, and they keep coming until you eventually get a certain number of them and you move on. Fun. Breaking them is ever so satisfying. Oh, but yeah, it's just there's more than one. That's all. There's a number of them. Looks like 4, but sometimes I get the feeling like there's more than that. Maybe I jumped over an area where another one was, but whatever. At least 4 of them. And I do believe they come back later in the level, just off of memory. We'll see as we continue. and down come the mechanical turtle type machines that shoot ripple lasers at you that make you think of Gradius again. As they kind of land and form, swing away as hard as you can. You could kill them in one hit. That's probably the most efficient way. Get rid of them before they start shooting their lasers, because once they do, you're going to take tons of damage, and it's going to be really annoying, and you're going to be throwing your controller at the TV. After that, you get a barrage of endless machine gun, rocksteady wannabe, foot soldiers, which just drives you insane. They never stop coming. And then, of course, the lasers there with the katana soldiers, and then liquid nitrogen things again. Yes, same strategy. After you kill those 4 things from Frozen Hell, you get to the escalator thingy, my bobby. You go from level 2 to level 1, I guess, interestingly enough. You think you'd be going up, not down. And you get to deal with the giant steel balls or whatever those things are that try to come down and hit you. And basically they come from top to bottom. They go from top to bottom and bottom back to top. Pretty easy to avoid. And try not to get your foot caught in the escalator. I'm just kidding. Then there's a piece of pizza, which I could have used a few minutes ago. But yeah, well, wait, don't use it up until you kill everything on the screen. So, yeah. Or, of course, depending on your situation, if you have like 1 bar of life left, yeah, get the pizza. But in my case, yeah, I could have used it and it wasn't there yet and too late. Yeah, you get the idea. It is those 100 million, I think it's either at least 12, if not more, of those machine gun foot soldiers again. So, yeah, you're going to need it anyway, so because they're going to get you. And like other parts of the game, be careful not to scroll the pizza off the screen. Once the machine gun foot soldiers are gone, pick up the pizza, because you will scroll the pizza off if you don't, unfortunately. Oh, goody, more of those motorcycle or unicycle machines from Season 1 again that shoot at you. You cannot escape, or something like that. That's what they say in the arcade game. In this one, yeah, there's no voices, unfortunately. But, yeah, just treat them the way you did earlier in the game with jump kicks and try to get them at the edge of the screen. Sound familiar? Or should I say open up with a jump kick and then try to push it to the edge of the screen if you can, and then pretty much defenseless. And like you might imagine, if you can get 2 or 3 of them at once at the edge of the screen as you're hacking away, you are feeling real good. Yeah, real good. Interestingly, I don't remember this, it's funny, but yeah, after you fight off a couple of the knife foot soldiers, there's another set of those unicycle guys. Yeah. The good part about them is they're not as intelligent as like the scorpions and the monkey characters that come at you, especially the scorpions. So yeah, it's even if you're just fighting one and there's another one spinning around, they're not real smart. They just kind of do their own little pattern. So, And when you see the red door there, stay away from the door. Try to get down because it's going to get busted open by General Trag. Oh, goody. General Trag. Not easy. Not easy. General Trag. He's got that missile launcher type of thingy. So he doesn't have the fire gun, he has a missile launcher. I don't know what's worse. I don't know. General Trag is not particularly easy, but he doesn't have as much stamina as Granitor. Granitor pretty much is almost as bad as Krang in terms of stamina. Trag, yeah, well, jump kicks. I mean, patience and jump kicks, similar to a lot of the other bosses, and of course Granitor. He seems a little more quicker. He is quicker than Granitor. Sorry for the dumb grammar there. But his stamina is not quite as high. So try your best and take him down. Oh, and yes, the wall. Yeah, the wall where the door was, you will get hit by the lasers. So you have to worry about that as well. You'll get, electrocuted, basically. What an incredible relief once he goes down. Oh, my Lord. What an unbelievable relief. And if you can manage to beat him with like 1 bar of health left, guess what? When you get to fight Krang, your power is restored. Praise the Lord. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Oh, well, now you get to fight Krang himself, and you get to hear the song from Season 1 when Krang was there. It's the Krang song. Check it out, baby. Isn't that cool? Yeah, it's a cool song. And yes, it is only in Season 1, the five episode Season 1, which I highly recommend. It's on YouTube, it's everywhere. Yes, and yeah, you can buy it on DVD and stuff, I'm sure. Maybe even Blu-ray nowadays. Who knows? But, well, I don't know about Blu-ray. Maybe you can download it in HD or something. I don't know if they remastered the original Turtles yet. They probably will someday, because they did that with Garfield on YouTube. You can purchase the seasons, but yeah. Anyhow, those are my 2 favorite cartoons of all time, basically, back in the day. Garfield and Turtles. Yeah. Anyhow, Krang. Yeah, welcome to probably the hardest boss in the game. In fact, I'd venture to say so. It takes like 1,000,000 hits. It's nuts. I swear you got to hit him like 300 times. It feels like it. It's probably close to 100, if not more. Jump kicks. Yeah, you get the idea. Krang is not easy at all. He'll obviously he can kind of duck down, shoot lasers or shoot missiles at you. He can shoot lasers from his eyes. He can kick you. He is a bitch. He's a bitch to deal with. Saki, you fool! Yeah, I had to get that in this episode. One of the most famous lines in the history of Turtles that most people forget. In the first episode, Krang often called Shredder Saki, like Oroko Saki. Yeah. The rest of the way it was just Shredder. I need a body. Well, he's got his body, and he's hard. Yep. Thankfully, he doesn't. Thankfully, he doesn't turn into a giant. He doesn't have some kind of a giant. He doesn't have that chip in him like in season 1, where he can turn into a giant, which was really scary, or he could destroy a whole city by himself, basically. Yeah. Nope. Thankfully, you don't have to deal with that in this game. Other than that, though, Krang is definitely tough. And, see, you try to get in that jump kick rhythm that you did with other characters. It works for the most part. In fact, sometimes it works for a while. But eventually, he's going to literally kick you in the butt. Like, when he kicks you, it's like kicking you in the butt. It's kind of funny. So, well, yeah, there is that. He'll eventually get you to break out of your rhythm. But generally speaking, though, if you get a good rhythm going, you'll eventually get him to start blinking. And my God, is it relief when he does. Expect to lose a turtle or two because it just takes too long and you're probably going to get hit. Unless, again, you're one of those elite superstar, like, I never get hit type of people that can do YouTube videos. Yeah, it'd be nice if I was in that class, but, well, I can beat games, sure. Oh, and once he finally starts blinking, it's not much longer, and it's a huge relief. Krang starts floating around and gives you the "I'm invincible" line that we all like and laugh at, and he kind of takes off on a little rocket on his little platform thingy, because the body's gone. And then is old Shredhead himself. Yes, it's time for the one-on-one battle with your arch nemesis, Shredder himself, Oroku Saki. And no, you're not Splinter fighting him in the movies. It's you as Raphael or whichever. Or maybe it's two of you. But no, it's not one-on-one. It's two-on-one. As Shredder then splits in two. The second of the two, one of them is a hologram. One of them is the real Shredder. The trick is, use jump kicks. I don't know, that's the one thing. I watched Video Games 101, the way he just rolls through games. He's unbelievable, but for some reason he struggled with Shredder. It was the weirdest thing. I think Shredder's easier than Krang. But yes, he does have a one-hit kill, which of course is when he uses his helmet, which is, it's the anti-mutagen ray, which can turn you into a turtle. Just a regular little turtle, where a Shredder can legitimately say, "Tonight I dine on turtle soup." Yeah. So you'll lose a whole life instantaneously if he starts to back up really quickly. That is the real Shredder, by the way. And he's using his helmet. It's the anti-mutagen ray. It's not a gun like in the episode. It's in the same episode, the final episode of season 1. It gets destroyed quickly. It lasts about 5 seconds in the episode, but in this game it's a little bit longer, and you get hit a couple times if you're not careful. So yeah, if you see that, try to get thee behind him as quick as you can. And continue. Now the key is when you're using jump kicks, as Shredder turns around, the two Shredders then kind of like switch spots, so you can literally keep kicking away at both of them. And then when one of them's helmet flies off real quickly, like if it flies off real early, which it probably will if you're able to kick him. Okay, now he gets kicked. Now he gets kicked. Now he gets kicked. Now he gets kicked. So like the opposite one keeps getting hit. The helmet will come off very quickly off of the fake Shredder. And that is when it is your cue to hack away at the real one constantly. And I mean constantly. And then there's no threat of the other one possibly using the anti-mutagen ray. Because sometimes I think if the helmet's on, they might both have it. So it's like tempt not your fates. I just basically said that the real one is the one that has it. But sometimes it's changed. So I'm kind of like remembering that, so don't even take a chance with it. But yeah, completely avoid the fake one if humanly possible and keep hacking away at the real one. If you do accidentally kill off the fake one, it'll disappear, and then Shredder will then split up into he'll create a new hologram, and you got to start over with getting the helmet off of the fake one. Now, at the end of the day, yeah, any damage you've done to the real Shredder still counts, and eventually his helmet will come off, and once that happens, he can no longer use the anti-mutagen ray, and you just keep hacking away at him, kicking him, and he will eventually, be done and rock and roll. That's kind of the strategy to beating Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. And so to get into that pattern like I was talking about, it's kind of that right, left, like you're jumping to the right, jumping to the left, jump kicking to the right, jump kicking to the left. You'll be kicking the opposite Shredder each time. And then, again, the helmet comes off the fake one pretty quickly because, well, he doesn't have many hit points. The real Shredder has a lot more hit points, not nearly as many as Krang or anything. So the helmet is going to come off eventually, and then you're pretty much home free at that stage, unless you have like 1 bar of health left and no lives remaining. Well, just be careful and hope for the best if you're in that stage. And the closer you are to Shredder, the less likely he's going to use his anti-mutagen ray. And why am I so much better at this guy than all the other bosses? Because I'm clutch. I'm good against the last boss more than the others. I don't know. I'm just clutch. I'm that guy who wins the game at the end of the 4th quarter. That's why. One final note, again, once the real Shredder's helmet comes off, like say both of them have no helmet, kill off the fake one right away, because who cares? He can't duplicate anymore. Once the helmet's gone, Shredder's power is basically gone. All he can do is hope to hit you with his sword. That's about it. And I don't know. It's not that hard as far as I'm concerned. Once that happens, you're home free. Like, no anti-mutagen ray, no more splitting up. He's pretty much toast at that point. And down goes the SOB. The Technodrome starts to rumble. For some reason, not killing but beating Shredder in a fight causes the entire Technodrome to explode. Well, unlike the end of Season 5. But, okay, let's read the ending quick. If I ever get a chance. Epilogue. Freaked the Foots, mangled the Mousers, and totaled the Technodrome. That's turtle power. But what about the Shredder and Krang? Burned to toast, vaporized to milkshake, or escaped to Dimension X? Until we know, none of us can sleep safely in our beds or shells. Well, we all know what the truth is. It's the latter. They escaped to Dimension X, just like in, Turtles 1, they were basically sent to Dimension X by Donatello in the first episode. Enjoy the ending, ladies and gentlemen. Ah, yes. You beat Turtles too. Isn't that fun? And it doesn't say congratulation, like so, like the AVGN, as the AVGN would say. At least it doesn't say congratulation. You notice again a widescreen monitor. We won't say a widescreen TV. It's a widescreen monitor or screen. It's a widescreen on the top of a building. That's kind of interesting. The top floors of a building. Eventually, you'll see, the four turtles, different, it's like slides of the four turtles kind of changing over from Leonardo to Michelangelo to Raphael and Donatello. They are from an old Renaissance art book, as Splinter once said. As for the name Splinter, I'm not sure where it came from. I'm really not. Your key here, or your cue here, or whatever the heck the thing is the turtle blimp, which, I don't know, wasn't it damaged or something? Yeah, it actually was damaged in the cartoon. But yeah, in the first season. The key is like watching that blimp as it moves from right to left, because obviously if you want to look at all the different programmers and such, it's enjoyable. But once that turtle blimp gets to the other side of the screen, that's when you're coming to the end of the epilogue. I do apologize. I've been suffering through a cough for the last couple weeks here, so my apologies. I feel way the heck better than I did a week ago, and way, way, way better than 2 weeks ago. So started with pink eye and sore throats and everything. So yes, it's been a funky episode a bit, at least the second half of it. That's partially why the release is so late. Shredder comes on the screen, and then instead of saying the different designers, it says ha 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 ha. So yes, he did escape to Dimension X. And no, in season 1, Shredder did not do the ha 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 ha. He was pissed off because he didn't want to conquer Dimension X. He wanted to conquer Earth. Like, come on. That was basically what Shredder told Krang. Krang was all like, yes, now I can conquer Dimension X. And yeah, okay, well, Shredder was annoyed with that. But that's your ending. That's your game. Blah, blah, blah. Here's my outro before I get to a little more detailed not that I'm complaining about any of the feedback segments. They've been fantastic, thanks to Derek. But now you get two people, Derek and another guy coming up. It's Anthony. I'd love to hear from him too. So great to hear from him in a couple tweets, or posts or whatever. But my final thoughts in the game before we get into the whole feedback segment. Well, absolutely wonderful. Replay value was a 5 for me. You can play this anytime. I mean, back in the day, I used to play this like almost once a week. Oh, I mean, I loved it so much. And the only turtle I haven't beaten it with is Michelangelo. I've just never been a Michelangelo person, even though I have real nunchucks literally feet away from me. I have a katana right here. Let's see if I can pull it out. I have a katana and a wakizashi. Shoot. So yes, I do have ninja weapons in real life. You hear that? Yeah, that's a katana. This is a real katana I'm holding right now, a dragon sword katana. The wakizashi is in better shape. This one's all funky, kind of, unfortunately. I got it back in '97 from the Cutlery, which used to be at Ridgedale, if you happen to be from the Twin Cities. Cutlery's unfortunately long gone. It was a cool store. I think they built something. I mean, there was a new something there for a while. They even had a mace there, like a mace. A Morning Star, which is a nudge to the next game. I absolutely have decided, and I decided it before I even started this one. I just hadn't decided which was going to be the January game, basically, and getting released at the end of January, unfortunately, because I got sick. Because I don't want to record like this, it would have been really bad. That's what delayed this show release a week. The wakizashi is right here. Wakizashi, great little sword. And an ex-girlfriend that once said, "Oh, that's a suicide sword." Well, if it is, I don't know about that. I've never heard that except from her. She's kind of weird. So, no, she's kind of weird. But maybe she's right. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. You tell me. If you know a wakizashi is a short sword, if it's meant for suicide, like for a ninja or whatever, or a Japanese fighter to just give up and kill themselves, I don't believe that. But if it's true, so be it. Great game. Okay, so the replay value for me is a 5. I think Donatello looks the best in terms of I don't know, what do they call that? It just looks aesthetically pleasing on the television. He looks the best. Michelangelo, I think, looks the worst. Kind of like a lightish a light dark green with orange. Looks kind of weird. But nunchucks are very fun weapons in real life. I actually have sai as well. Yes, I do. I have everything but a bow, basically. I have a katana. I have sai, and I have nunchucks. Yeah, I'm different. I'm not looking for anything bad. I just like that kind of stuff. I think it's cool. Yeah, I'm not a violent person at all. Just think it's fun. And I didn't get it because of the turtles necessarily. It's because they're cool. They're cool. Even though the turtles are part of it, I suppose, originally. So the overall graphics, I think, are because of the drop off from the arcade. It's like more of a 4. The colors can bring it above a 4, like 4.25-ish. The overall gameplay, it can get frustrating at times when you're trying to do the whirl attack and the damn thing doesn't work and you end up with, just you get frustrated. So the gameplay's a 4. Again, replay value is a 5, 1,000%. It's a 5. Graphics a 4. Music is a 5. It's a 5, yes. Obviously, I mean, it's so memorable, so many memories. How do you not enjoy a game like this? So it's an absolute freaking pleasure to play this again. I can barely remember the last time I even played through and beat the game. Because I've actually struggled with this one over the years. And it's like, when you don't play a game for a while, no matter how great you were at it in the past, it's like your timing's off. But it kind of came back, though. It's like doing this show kind of brought back those memories to a point that I got good at it again. It was really fun. And I think part of it is I used Raphael. Because Raphael's the first turtle I beat this game with. Eventually, I got super good with Donatello, and I almost always used him. Leonardo was my favorite turtle for most of my young life when I was a Turtles fan. Raphael was my first favorite turtle, and then Leonardo grew on me over the years. But now, I think just the way I am and the way people see me at work, my reliability with technical stuff, I've become more of a Donatello, honestly. I've become more of a Donatello person over the years, not just as a fighter in the video games, but just in real life. Like, am I a Leonardo? I thought so, but I don't know. Maybe I'm more of a Donatello now in just natural life, like leader, but not the leader necessarily at times. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I still can be, but I don't know. That's off the air stuff. You don't care about that. Yeah. I mean, it's a different kind of leader, I guess you could say. More of a leader, like helping people figure out things and troubleshooting and stuff. So, yeah, anybody can lead in different ways, I suppose. But at the end of the day, is this a great game? Yeah. Is it as memorable as some others? Is it is it as good as like Final Fantasy VI? Of course not. But is it like an incredible? Was it an incredible excitement for the time? Absolutely. Side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and the arcade game is unbelievable. I can't wait to do a review on that in maybe a year or so. Maybe next January I'll do a review on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the actual arcade game, like just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade. That's what I'll probably call the episode, or TMNT Arcade. I don't know if it's going to fit, so I'll probably go TMNT, even though it's, I don't know, abbreviations are kind of lame, but it's big. That's why people go with that. It's too many words, too many letters, too many characters. So great game, and love it to death. If you've never played it, go for it, please. Especially if you like side-scrolling beat-em-up types. And hopefully this review, it's like a walk review. It's a walk review, or it's kind of like a walkthrough with review, or review with walkthrough in it. Because it kind of, I mean, a lot of people do reviews of games, but also kind of tell you how to play the game. And that's kind of what I do in these episodes. I mean, listen to some of the other shows, like, Atari Game by Game podcast. Ferg tells you how to play the game, doesn't he? And so do some of the listeners when they get into the feedback segment and such, and their memories of it. So that's kind of the idea. It's a combination of memories and how to play the game, and it might trigger memories to some of you that haven't played a certain game in forever, and it's like, man, I want to play that again. And then you do, and you get all those wonderful memories back, and maybe you enjoy it even more than you did when you were young. With that said, I've babbled enough. Time for the feedback segment, and here we go. And we are back here on Video Game Flashback, the feedback segment, which is what we like to call it here on Video Game Flashback instead of fan interaction, because I'm so used to sports. But yes, the Twitter account is, or our X account is VGF underscore podcast. VGF underscore podcast. That's where most of the interaction happens. In fact, so far I'd say all of it, but I guess you never know. There's an Instagram account. Video game, it's one word, video game, and then underscore flashback, which is also one word. So yes, everything's different all the time. We'd like some more followers there and some more interaction there. It'd be great. People see it, but not that much. It's kind of, it's kind of a baby out there. It's kind of a baby cute little plant that needs a little more love. So give it some love if you could. The link is in the show description. And there's a TikTok account, paladino.live, which is where all my podcasts go. So it's kind of like an all-in-one. And that thing is starting to grow a little bit, starting to build some traction, so that's encouraging. We'll see how that turns out. Might do videos from everything in the future, for Purple Mafia, this show, whatever. Brave the Wild, God knows what else. But, anyhow, let's get to the interaction, the feedback for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Open things up with Derek Felska at Crease and Assist, who also does a wonderful Minnesota Wild podcast. That's how we met, because my Brave the Wild podcast, that's Minnesota Wild. And, he met me on X. And we did a few shows together, and obviously have interacted forever. But then he said, hey, I'm going to do a show too. The Crease Assist podcast. Crease Assist, really, really nicely done if you like Minnesota Wild hockey, which is great. So let's get to what Derek had to say about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. So this might be the actual arcade game, which is fine, and we can have similar interactions when I do that one in like a year or so. Let's get on with it. As a kid growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, we certainly remember arcades. We probably even remember specific locations, various machines at places we would visit on occasion. For example, I always remember wanting to go to Godfather's Pizza near Ridgedale. There you go. Near Ridgedale. I love that place because at least I used to love it, especially back then, because it had a small arcade which included a Nintendo Play Choice 10. Oh, that's so cool. Usually my brother and I would get $1 worth of quarters to go play on those machines while we waited for the pizza. The pizza. Yep. As fun as the arcade experience was, it was elusive or almost impossible to get that same experience in the 8-bit era. Yeah, because it just looked different. Basically it's like comparing a Sega Genesis to an NES. So I'm going to jump in really fast. So yes, my memories of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, the actual arcade game, was at Roller Gardens. That's in St. Louis Park. I think I'm saying it correctly, Roller Gardens. There's a Mandela effect on that one as well. So it's, I don't know, Roller Gardens, Mandela effects. Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. But I always remember it being called Roller Gardens, St. Louis Park, Minnesota. That's where that was, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, where you could play up to 4 players. Obviously, on the NES version, only 2 at a time, or 1. Anyhow, back to Derek. Beyond simpler titles like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, the NES just didn't have the ability to match the performance of newer arcade games at the time. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was easily one of the most popular arcade games of the late 80s and early 90s. Oh, God, yes. The characters felt so much like the cartoon originals than the super stiff representation of the super stiff representation on Ultra's first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Like the actual Turtles one. Yeah, that was a tough one, no doubt. Expect a review on that one sometime in like a January-ish. Yep, like Turtles are going to be a January-ish kind of show. January-ish, that's my guess. Like February tends to be more RPG-ish, like Secret of Evermore and stuff. But we'll see. And the next game, yes. Hint, hint. Yeah. Where am I? Yep. He says, for myself, by the time Ultra released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, there was a discussion of a 16-bit Super Nintendo being released. Yeah, 1990 into 91-ish. Yep, around there. Yep. That was that crazy season with the Minnesota North Stars where they were struggling really bad early and then all of a sudden got better as the year progressed, snuck into the postseason and went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals and lost. But anyhow, next, I definitely remember seeing TMNT 2 in Nintendo Power and being impressed by how well they tried to keep as many of the arcade game into this 8-bit port. So as many bits and pieces of it, and they even added 2 levels, right? So as tempting as that was, I never played the game. Oh, really? I had only heard good things about it, but I also know it was limited and at times struggled with flicker because of all that was going on in the game. Yeah, when there's like 900 foot soldiers or like helicopters and foot soldiers, that's annoying as hell. Instead, so continuing to part 7, right? How does he do this? Instead, once I had a Super Nintendo, I bought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. Yep, I know Paul Tooniverse Caniff loves that game. Absolutely loves it. And it's very arcade-ish. Yep. Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, which is not only one of the best beat-em-ups on that system, but it was arguably superior to the arcade game, which is an amazing in a home port. I like the original arcade more. Yep, I'm going to say that right here. And yes, I will probably do Turtles for Turtles in Time. Yes, probably 99.9% chance that will be a review one of these years, one of these days, one of these years. I like the original arcade more. Yep. And people are like, no, yeah, yes, I did. Yep. And of course, you can have it on like Xbox and stuff like that. I think it's even on the Wii, all the way back to that, and probably on the Switch, which I don't own and I don't care. Anyhow, next, but TMNT 2 and TMNT, the Manhattan Project, really good game, if I remember correctly. Or am I thinking of the Hyperstone Heist? But anyhow, yeah, I like the Genesis game. Sega Genesis does a great job in games like this. Did a great job, but yes. The Manhattan Project were about the best arcade ports on the NES. Okay, yeah, that's 3, yep. Hyperstone Heist is the Sega Genesis. Sorry. Konami Ultra did their best to squeeze all they could. Yeah, because they're great companies. Well, it's Konami, but you get the idea. Did all they could to try to get that arcade experience, but there was only so much they could do, given the limitations of the hardware. I didn't end up playing TMNT 2 until much later, and I wish this was the first TMNT game to have been released on the NES than what they did. Yep, it's more fun and had more energy than the stiff and frustrating original. Yep, and I'll jump in real quick. I actually did play the first one first. I did play the regular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first, and yeah, it was at first like, oh my god, it's so cool, and obviously the music was great, but then it's like it's had stiff and all that, and yeah, well, we're gonna review that one someday. Anyhow, back to Derek. I really felt like NES tried its hardest to bring like what it could, but it just couldn't get there. Yeah, I mean, that is the fact. Only when the SNES arrives could they truly deliver on the arcade game promise. Of course, the Sega Genesis could deliver this too, and did. But both companies were wise by not promising the arcade experience on too often, because they had to know that those that played would simply know that isn't true. So, yep, awesome thoughts. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer how they never actually tried to do the arcade game on the SNES or the Genesis. And a lot of those arcade games were actually, it's like the exact same, I swear, same like sound chips and such as the Sega Genesis. Like the late 80s arcades were basically a Sega Genesis. Or the Sega Genesis was basically emulating arcades in a lot of ways. The late 80s arcades, like from like 1943-ish up to like, Turtles, around there, like the late half of the 80s. It was basically the same sound chip and gameplay as a Sega Genesis. At least that's how I see it. Somebody might be like, no, actually, da-da-da. And then the Super Nintendo had probably a little more color. The controls sometimes were better and sometimes were worse. Like more complicated than they needed to be. Like NBA Jam and Mortal Kombat, I think were better on the Sega Genesis. And I'm going to probably do reviews on those in the future. And I'm going to do reviews on each version. And I'm going to tell you again, the Sega Genesis versions were better. And some people are going to disagree. I don't know how in the world anybody could like the Super Nintendo version of NBA Jam more than the Sega Genesis. There was no music. It was just dun, dun, dun. He's on fire. And then the Sega Genesis had the dun, 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 dun. Come on, guys. Come on. So that's where I get frustrated. I can't believe it. And then the overcomplicated, like the 4 buttons instead of... I'd rather, you just need 3. Why do you need a 4th button for some of those games? But I don't know. I just didn't like it as much. But of course, that's it's a debate. It's a mixed opinion type of thing. Final comment comes from Anthony Krenz. Good to hear from you, Anthony. He says, I love old box art. This was one of my favorites growing up. And I said, any thoughts on the game? And he said, yep. And I agreed with him with the box art. It's freaking great. It's awesome. Anthony says, was real young, but it was my first run into a genre like this. Double Dragon actually might be the first I've played. That's comparable gameplay. Coop Smash, yep, where you're fighting together and all that. Yep, co-op. Excuse me, not Coop. And I was saying great comparison. Around that time, they were probably the number one games on the planet, especially in the arcades, like Double Dragon and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cowabunga. I have always liked Cowabunga. I did a funny. Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, I did a funny. I kind of did. So yes, please do follow the Video Game Flashback X account. It's getting lonely and stupid a little bit, but those of you that do follow and interact, thank you. At VGF_podcast. At VGF_podcast. And the other crucial thing is if you're going to hashtag it, where is that dang hashtag? I thought I had the hashtag. What's wrong with me? Jerry, you're an idiot. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I know it's there. Okay, yeah. Hashtag VGFB. Hashtag VGFB. Video Game Flashback. It's in the game. Hashtag VGFB. So yes, I already gave the ratings for the game. So hope you don't mind my ratings. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people probably figure somewhere around the same. The gameplay is like at the absolute peak. The music and this and that, okay, not as good as the arcade, of course. You know, I mean, again, it's like comparing a Sega Genesis and a NES. It just is what it is. The announcement for the next game is, well, the title is on the screen I'm looking at right now. Of course, you can't see it. Oh, man. I'm like Steve Jobs ready to announce the iPhone. That's about how much that's what kind of strong feelings I have for this game. And unfortunately, I bet you like 90% of you don't agree. But play the game and you'll find out. Seriously, and listen to the review coming up and you'll find out. Final Fantasy Adventure on Game Boy. Final Fantasy Adventure on Game Boy, also known as Seiken Densu. I believe I'm saying it correctly, and if I'm saying it incorrectly, hopefully I'll have the correct pronunciation ready on the next episode. Final Fantasy Adventure. Action RPG, the prequel to Secret of Mana. If you've played Secret of Mana and love it, this is the prequel to Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana is Seiken Densu 2. Do you understand? Yeah. And then the Super Nintendo version, of course, didn't come here. Of course, I'll probably talk about it in the next episode. Didn't come here until like a billion years later when, they translated it and all that and patched it. And that's what you could do with emulations in the late 90s and early 2000s. And eventually they brought it here via downloads like the Switch and such. I don't know. It took them like 50 years, but freaking frustrating. It was a good game, but kind of weird. I didn't really play through it yet, and that'll probably be a game review someday. It was a little bit on the weird side, the way the menus scaled around. It was a mid-90s release, a late Super Nintendo release. And then, was it Legend of Mana? Came out in 2000 for the PlayStation. You know what I mean? It's not the same. It's just not. Sword of Mana was a remake of it on the Game Boy Advance. Great game, kind of. But for me, I'll always like this one the most. Final Fantasy Adventure. So I can't wait to do this review. I've been kind of hinting at it for the last couple of years. And here it is. It's going to happen. Final Fantasy Adventure. Yes! Like last year around this time, Zelda Link's Awakening. Oh, this is the other one. The other Mount Rushmore. I was debating between Zelda and Final Fantasy Adventure. But the fact that I just done Mystic Quest at the time, I was like, nope. I'm doing Zelda this year and Adventure next year. Well, here we are, 2025, Final Fantasy Adventure, rock and roll. So with that said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much. Thank you. Encourage your friends, share the show, repost the show, share it to your friends, tell it word of mouth, whatever, and I appreciate it so much. If you could put a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other app that allows you to do so. Like the video on YouTube, even though it's just in podcast form. But like it if you could. It'll help. Follow the YouTube as well. The link is in the show notes. Paladino Live Productions on YouTube. Basically everything's there. And I'll probably do videos at times as well, other than just podcast form. Like actual videos. if you're commenting about sports or video games or whatever. So that's kind of what we're all about here in Paladino Live Productions. It's basically my little network. But yeah, with that said, I wish all of you a wonderful heading into the later stages of winter and into the early stages of spring as we play one of the greatest Game Boy games in the history of the planet. Talk to you then. And always stay retro.